Okay, trip A has been reset to 0. There's the end of the dirt. There's the start of the bitumen. I am on my way. Hello YouTube, welcome to my home, back here in the jungle, and the road trip isn't over. If you haven't been keeping up, 4 weeks ago I went down to Melbourne from the top end of Queensland, about 3,500 kilometre drive. Drove down to pick up a bull bar for my car, which was custom made and it's sort of all Australian design rule compliant. So I went to get the bull bar, and 3,500 k's later, got the bull bar, had it on top of the car, turned around to come home. The first 2 nights were quite cold because I was in, cold part of the country at a cold time. And as soon as I got back to somewhere warm, I slowed down and started sort of camping and filming and enjoying the trip a lot more. The first night that I had of camping, the following day, my car engine seized about 2,500 kilometres from home. So that was after about near enough to a week of driving. Actually it was a week, so I left 1 week. The following week I broke down and I spent another 5 days, well 7 days really, trying to deal with the situation on the road, like trying to get the car somewhere where it could get repaired or get the car home. I tried finding a ute to hire, I tried finding trailers and stuff to sort of tow it home one way. It wasn't going to happen. I went looking at different options to put it on trucks, all incredibly, prohibitively expensive. And I couldn't get a result, and I was just spending money hand over fist, like just on accommodation. I spent a month and a half's worth of rent that I pay here on 5 nights of accommodation, and I just couldn't sustain that level of spending, so ended up having to get a hire car and get all of my equipment out of the broken down vehicle, which is still sort of somewhere secure, fortunately. And with myself in the hire vehicle and all of my gear, come home with everything that's important to me except for the car, and then see if I can sort it out from home. That was 2 weeks ago when I got home, so it's been 4 weeks since I left, and I still don't have an option on the table that works. I'm trying to figure out a way to get a vehicle that's has a high enough towing capacity for me to tow the car home on a heavy duty trailer. It's going to be like a 2.8 ton tow. That's like right at the outside limit of some of the biggest SUVs on the road in Australia, so it's kind of problematic finding something that can do it, that someone wants to hire me. So I've sort of started thinking about another route. I've scraped together about $2,000. I'm thinking maybe I could put that down as a deposit on a car that can tow sort of 2.5 to 3 tons, and spend the next 5 years paying off a loan for a car that I only need for one trip, which is absolutely ridiculous, but that's where I am right now. I don't really have any other options other than just let the car go, and I'm too heavily invested in it. Like, I've got too much money in it already to just sort of go, oh well, that's too bad, I'll just buy something crap and that'll do. So I've got one car with a seized bottom end. I've got another car with a warped top end, same engine. What I'm hoping is if I can get the Sorrento home and get the other Sorrento around to the mechanic as well, we can sort of make a Franken motor out of the two engines that I've got and get one of the cars running and get the bull bar on it and all the rest of it. I'm really stressed about it. Like, I've been worrying and trying to sort of solve problems on the fly and going to sleep worried and waking up worrying about what I need to worry about for 3 weeks straight, and it's just stressful. Like, it's not that I can't handle it, it's just I'm tired of handling it, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I could do with a break from caring about it, but I can't afford to stop caring about it. I can't afford to just go, oh, okay, whatever. So I'm looking at vehicles like old Mitsubishi Pajeros and old Jeeps and stuff like that. Things that hit that 2.8 tonne towing capacity. And even then, it's going to be risky. Like, I haven't towed long distances, and I certainly haven't towed anything that heavy before. But I've towed enough to know that that should worry me. You know, like that's a very dangerous load to be carrying. And that's stressful. The idea of sort of doing 3 or 4 days, maybe even 5 days if I do what I should do and take it really, really easy. 4 or 5 days of towing an incredibly heavy load on highways with, you know, road trains and stuff racing up and down them is just not something that strikes me as a fun thing to do with a week. You know, I'm past 50. It's the sort of thing that gives people heart attacks, that level of stress. But like I said, I don't have an option. This is just where I'm at now. So for me, the road trip's not over, even though I'm home and I've been home for 2 weeks. It's sort of like in GTA, I've done a couple of preps and the heist is yet to come, you know. Like, it's just pre-mission missions before the mission is complete. And it is intense. It's just been 3 of the most draining, like energetically draining weeks that I've been through. Like, bear in mind, I've beaten cancer and I've had my stomach cut open, and I've, you know, spent 7 days in intensive care in a coma and woken up from that unable to move for a month, and had another surgery that left me unable to move for, laying on my back in a hospital bed for 3 weeks. I'm not a stranger to stressful situations, you know. Like, I've been through some stuff and got out the other side of it, and I'm a fairly sort of calm and hard to wind up person, but this has just been relentless. And it needs to get resolved soon. I've got to get down to Brisbane, I've got to get a car that can tow, and I've got to get a trailer and get back home. Before I do that, there's another mission that I've got to run. I've got to go to a town that's about 120 k's down the road and pick up another car of mine that was written off like 1.5 years ago in a traffic accident that wasn't my fault, and the other person is claiming that it is. They're insured and I'm not. Their insurance company are being complete dicks about it. But all the evidence is in my favour, and all I'm trying to do is get them into court, and they won't go, and it's just being stalled and stalled and stalled. So I've got to get that car and get that to a mechanic where it can get like an evaluation done to say, you know, how much damage was caused and all the rest of it, so that I can make a small claim against the other driver and get this in front of a magistrate regardless of what their insurance company wants to do, because they just want to slap me with a bill, and they're sort of making imputations that they're actually allowed to decide who's at fault if there's a dispute, and that's not the case at all. Their industry code of conduct says that if there's a dispute, it needs to be settled by arbitration or by a magistrate if the arbitration fails, and they haven't even taken it to arbitration. They've just gone ahead and, you know, sold a debt to a debt collector, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I've got that hanging over my head. I've got this car drama going on. The idea of what happens when I get the car back and how do I afford to get it all fixed again. But hopefully that's what the car I'm picking up this week will help sort out. There's an engine in that that's worth about $4,000. There's a computer in it that's worth another $1,000. There's the transmission's got to be worth, you know, $500 at least. And then there's all the easy stuff to take off and sell, like all of the lights and mirrors and, you know, the things that you can sort of scrape together $1,000 or $1,500 for. And then there's the panels and stuff. But that's, as far as I can't be bothered trying to ship all that stuff. I'll ship the engine because it's worth it. I'd even ship the transmission. But I'm not going to ship doors and windows and stuff. It's no. That can go to a wrecker's. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So the road trip's not over, it's just stage 1 is finished, and it was a resounding failure. Stage 2 hasn't started yet because of more failures. It's just, it'll come together. But for the time being, it really is putting a load of pressure on me and really testing my ability to just sort of let water roll off this little duck's back. And I'm holding it together. It's all good. I'm healthy. I'm happy. Most importantly, all of my creative tools are home, like my camera, my drone, my laptop, and, you know, my video gear and my audio recording stuff. I was really worried about leaving that in the car. I couldn't just like get on a plane and come home and figure it out. That was one option that a family member said, like, why don't you just fly home and sort it out from home? I'm like, because I can't carry all the stuff I've got in the car onto the plane. It's that simple. And I can't leave it all there. But that resolved itself. Yeah, I got a nice, it was a Nissan X-Trail that I started with, and drove that about a third of the way home. And then I had a problem with the key not being recognised by the car, so I took it back to the hire car company's nearest branch, and they upgraded me from a medium-sized SUV to a large four-wheel drive, because that's all they had. And I had a large four-wheel drive and 4 days to drive it home, which was nice. I had a little chill out there, and got home. I had hospital stuff that I had to get home for. That's why I was in a rush. Couldn't just sort of take it easy. I had to get back, and I got back with a day to spare. So yeah, things are sort of going badly, but they're working out as they go bad, you know, like it's noisy burb. And I love living here though. It just makes it that much easier to unwind, you know, like if you've got stress in your life, what you need is a rainforest. You need to just get away from cities and people and drama and families and just be a hermit in the bush. Move to Tanoa, hang out with the crickets and the birds. It's so much easier.